Hey, holy cow, we got 90 in the audience today. Whoa. Before we even pull the trigger here on anything, we know this is a topic that has created a lot of buzz in the last few days, and we want to dive into this. We have seen the community feedback. We've talked to Webflow a little bit about this, and I think we're going to dive through all of that today. We're going to kind of like compare old pricing to new pricing. We're going to break down some of, obviously what people are a little upset about. And I think we're going to dispel a couple things because too long didn't read our overall thoughts, I think, and some of the folks who are working on this is that like, this is something you got to make as an investment to grow your business. And so we're going to talk about how that all breaks down. And as always, we will bring you all into the episode in the comments. So feel free to leave your thoughts. I'm sure we're going to have a hard time keeping up with all the comments today. But before we get too far into this, let's effing grow. Okay, what's going on, Joe?
Hey, this is a juicy episode. New information, a lot of comments around this. I feel I have been reading all the threads that come up. I'm very interested in them, and there's a lot of passion around this topic. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely going to be a little bit interesting to see how everything goes. I think there's some good here. There's, some, what's actually happening here. And I think what this is all going to be chalked down to is kind of some of the growing pains and evolution of a platform here. So anyway, let's go through. I think we got just a couple of events and announcements that we want to get to before we go through this. So let's run through that real quick. First event tomorrow, Building Design Systems, Adrian Lexington in Seattle. Seattle Webflow Meetup is hosting that event. By the way, all of the details and links we share are already in the description of the video. So anything that we share here in the video will be in the descriptions if you're interested. Also tomorrow, there's a Webflow Los Angeles meetup. R.R. Abbott is hosting that. So check that out. And if you're in the LA area, or I think you can just join online too. So anyway, okay, Client First Showcase is flying. Oh, you know what? I always do this. Come on, what's wrong with you, Rymar? Somebody's got to give me like, hey, switch to the visuals. Okay, Building Design Systems, R.R. Abbott, and Showcase. The Showcase is growing here. So if you have not already, come into the Showcase and submit your projects. Right here, you can click Submit and submit that content. We would love to showcase and elevate that content. We're planning some streams in the future and some content around this, so we'd love to make sure we get your site featured on top of that. After that, Global Open House is really kind of coming into speed. The agenda and everything's kind of really taking shape right now. Super exciting to see what is coming with this event. There's going to be a nice panel discussion. There's going to be breakouts. We're going to do like a global group shot. This is going to be a lot of fun. Seriously, you don't want to miss this. Go to global-meetup.webflow.io. And there's also a form in the description if you'd like to get involved. We're looking for folks. We're going to have 2 hours of breakout sessions during this event. So we're looking for folks who want to lead a breakout session, who want to get active. If you have a small Webflow meetup, or if you run a group or a community and you'd like to promote that group, this is also a great event. So check out the description. There's a link for you all to get involved if you'd like to become part of that event. There were hundreds and hundreds of folks that were at this event last year. We expect the same this year and then some. So okay, after that, let's see. Oh, the Effing Growth podcast. Sorry.
Hold on.
Joe, go.
I think we need a sound effect here.
Oh.
We have 100 watching right now. This is the new. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Right. Now, please continue.
Now we can go. And Rohan's reminding us too. Sorry, there's so many folks. We're not going to say hello to everyone like we typically do. I'm sorry. We just wouldn't be able to go through. Okay, let's finish these announcements real quick, just so we can get to the meat of why y'all are here. The Effing Growth podcast. So we've released all of these live streams. They're on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcast. Right here, we're showing you TuneIn, literally Stitcher, every major podcast platform. So if you're interested in taking these in an audio only format, the way we're releasing those is 1 episode a day until we catch up with where we're at live. And so, we're going to let y'all binge on those. And then once we catch up, we'll go to the once a week cadence as we release the new live stream. So Let's see. Oh, one more thing. The path to 10,000 subscribers. We're at 9,851. So the title slide is not, we've had 3 since we updated the title slide, but help us get to 10,000 subscribers. I think we had like 140 some last week join. Our goal is to get to 10,000 by the end of this month. So I think we're pacing enough to get there, but we need your help. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please go subscribe to that. We appreciate that. That helps other folks find the channel and the content that we create and work so hard to give to all of y'all. And so there's the next one, is letting me know we're about to get into this conversation. So let's jump into the disclaimers. Joe, do you want to take the first one there?
Disclaimer. Okay. First, we reached out to Webflow to share some comments around this, to talk to them about this. And they said that there is going to be several people in these comments answering any questions, helping to clarify any information here. So we're all in this together. We're all talking about it. It's all open. Webflow's here. We're here. Community's here. We're just chatting about this. We're trying to make it more clear and understand what we can do about this.
Yeah.
So that's disclaimer number 1. What did I miss anything from that?
No. And just that, like always, we're going to give the benefit of the doubt that they know things that we don't in a lot of ways, and that pricing digital products is a really inexact science. This is a platform that delivers a ton of value across the board. And it's also empowering people to build and create careers for themselves. And so I don't know how you quantify that value. Like, I don't envy them trying to assign some kind of, reoccurring dollar charge for a tool that literally people are building careers and changing their lives off of. And so we're going to discuss some of this. I think there's a lot of room to explore and experiment with here. And that goes into the third one. Joe, do you want to take that third one?
Sure. The third one, that companies often get backlash when updating pricing. This just something that happens regardless of the logical reasoning. People don't like price increases, right? Nobody likes a price increase. But yeah, Reimar, what do you think about this?
Yeah,
nobody likes a price increase.
Well, nobody's sitting around waiting to like spend more money with your company. Right. But we talk about it all the time. Like, hey, double your prices. Go out and, as a freelancer, charge more for your projects, right? We're always talking about building value and charging more money. And so I don't know how that translates to this. I know as an agency, we have a different perspective here because obviously we're generating some good cash flow from this tool. And so we have a different perspective than a freelancer who may just be starting out or who may be experimenting with the tool. We're going to talk a little bit about that. The $42 a month for me was a high hurdle when I first started, but I saw it as an investment. And I'm even going to go back to the world of WordPress and talk a little bit about how I think we may be comparing apples to oranges, because a lot of times we're just comparing hosting to hosting or tool to tool, and you don't see some of the other things, the intangibles that come around the edges. And so we want to just kind of give a little bit of context here. And we've already, the fourth one I think is that Webflow is making this shift from like a landing page builder, from this tool that is like kind of like a web toy that people were disregarding as a web toy, to like an enterprise grade visual software development platform, which is like a transition nobody's ever made before. So this is all uncharted territory. And there are lots of other SaaS products that charge lots and lots of money, way more than what Webflow is. And so I don't know, there's a lot of thoughts running through my head here about what they could have done, what they might have done. Obviously the community has thoughts. And so let's just jump right into this, Joe. Did we miss anything there? Or should we jump right into the little audience prompt?
Let's get into the audience prompt. And that prompt is, what would you like to see different from Webflow pricing plans? So I guess in your perfect world, what would you like to see? What is missing with this new plan? How can it be changed to make you happy?
Yeah.
We'll go and probably pick out a few of those. We'll talk about those throughout the episode. And yeah, I think this just open conversation about this is really important.
Yeah, let's just take a quick peek at some of these comments here. Grace is saying, I build 2 to 3 sites a month on Webflow. I use it every day. It's one of my primary tools. Nobody likes price increases, but I'm happy to pay for my core tools. I think that's the overall consensus, although there are a few things that, we want to take some beef with, and that, we want to discuss in detail, and that I think the community should feel heard on. And I think the community has been heard, right? I think Webflow's listening. There's already been a response in the forum. We have a response from Webflow that we'll share kind of at the end of the stream here. And so we have some stuff that's coming that we can kind of share a little bit. Ezekiel saying, I pay $60 a month for Adobe. I use Webflow way more. Same thing. I pay Adobe for a subscription. I guess if you're using the full Adobe product suite, maybe, it's a little much, but I still use Webflow way more than all of that. Joe, anything you're seeing here that we should address before we jump right into the end of it here?
Well, there's a mix of all different comments, and that's what we've been seeing throughout all the different threads here. Andy says, in the grand scheme of design tools, it's not too expensive. It's the fact that a big percentage of users are being forced to pay extra for a feature that is not needed to some.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a plan-wide pricing increase. And like we said, nobody likes that pricing increase. But like Andy says, this is not very expensive when you compare it to other tools that can help shape your career, like an Adobe Suite. If you're a pro at Adobe Suite, you're paying more than the $60 per month. And hopefully those tools are going to generate more money than you are paying for them.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to talk a lot about that today.
Yeah.
That there's a price increase, but Webflow as a platform, I think gives you the ability to actually make all of that price increase back and some.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Mirella brings up the bright point here. So many comments already. It may not be too expensive for many of us now, but it started earning from Webflow after 5 to 6 months. And I think this is where of experimenting. It might have been expensive at the time. I think this is where the crux of the argument in this whole thing lies. Is that for the freelancers, for the starters, people have been talking about the 10 unhosted sites, and some of the differences there. But let's just jump into the mix here, because Webflow pricing has a history of being confusing. There have been tools. I think Nelson even did a live stream on this a while back about explaining the different account plans and the site plans and how that all works. And part of what these new workspaces is, I think, is to combine the account plans with the team plans and try to unify that. So now there's only site plans and these workspaces, which now doesn't have, teams and accounts and this. And, so like I see they're trying to consolidate here, but there's just there's kind of been for a while, just a little bit. And I think we should maybe just look at these two plans. So I've got the Wayback Machine open here. And this is the old CMS pricing with where it is, plans and pricing here. No, that's also the Wayback Machine. I thought I had the plans and pricing open, but I don't. Okay, so what I wanted to show here is that what most people are stressing out is that this, no, this is still the website plans. Let's go down to the account plans. That this
Can you zoom in a bit for me on that?
Yep.
Nice.
Okay, that should help a little better. Okay, so what we were starting and what we changed to, we have the free plan. I think there's still a free plan. There's the light plan. And what we see here is like lots of people are talking about the 10 unhosted sites, but that limit's been there in the light plan before. And then the pro plan, this is where the concern comes, is the $35 going to the $60 for most of the freelancers who may not benefit from this agency stuff. And so I think that's where the crux of this comes from. But as we're going to see, Webflow's already addressed this. So I think... where do we start? Let me go to that. I think we should actually skip a little bit here. Let's jump into, I want to jump back to the first Webflow response, because they have addressed this already. They're going to offer coupon codes for most of the folks who are in that pro plan. Now, it's not a perfect solution, but that the folks who are in that pro plan now, if you have a pro plan now, they're going to offer a coupon code. And I think that's here. Update to new Workspaces growth plan pricing to support freelancers. There's a short form that you can fill out. We'll open that in a new tab real quick. And so if you're on a pro plan right now, there's a solution for this. So if you're out there and you're kind of upset that you're on a pro plan and you're going to lose that ability or be forced into that growth plan, if you're not using some of those core features, you can apply here and just fill out this form, and there's going to be a process for them to send you a code so that you can maintain that $35 or $42 a month, whatever your current pro plan pricing is going to be. And so I think they've got some other things coming that they're working on. I wanted to just skip and address that, and I think we can go back kind of and hit the top of the run of show. Joe, anything there that I missed as far as like just addressing this? And maybe we were going to save some of that to the end, but I think we'll it's better to leave it out here early, and then we can cover it again here as we get through the rest of the show.
We'll definitely cover it at the end. I just want to say that I think that was a good move. That was a good gesture. For the people that want to keep that plan, I think it is important to respect that previous pricing. So yeah, this just happened this morning. That post was from 11 hours ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're acting quick, and I think a good move in the right direction.
Well, and let's now go back into the intro to the workspaces, because for the freelancers, I think that this growth workspace discount form can help, maybe if you're on that pro plan already and you want to make that transition and not spend the extra money. But where the real value, and what I do want to spend some time talking about, these workspaces bringing to the table, is for agencies and roles and permissions. Let's talk a little bit about why that's important. Joe, like when you bring somebody onto the Webflow team and you give them access to our Webflow projects right now, like they get the keys to the entire castle. They could literally even go delete Finsweet.com, just because they're here to work on a new project that we're bringing them in for, or maybe 3 projects, or whatever their workload is here. And so talk a little bit about, why this is important that we have these roles and permissions here, why like these workspaces, although they may not be the right fit for everyone, are something that's exciting for us to start seeing in this space.
If you're working on a team, even a small team, 2 people, 3 people, this is an important update. Every time I send out a new team invite, I'm thinking, well, I hope this person ends up being a good person. And we have been very fortunate that everybody has. We have had no misconduct inside of our Webflow instance. But now with this roles and permissions, I think we can add and remove people with much more confidence inside of our team plan. Now, this is good for agencies. Agencies know this. This is not anything that anybody's debating. Let's talk about those individuals who don't really need this, who don't need the permissions. It's a one-person solo entrepreneur, and that person has no interest of joining a team, has no interest of bringing people into their team. They may use Webflow professionally, but they're just not on a team. So how does this influence others? The first thing that comes to my mind is it's going to bring in more serious businesses to the platform. Don't just think about your own workflow here. Think about the other companies that have not chosen Webflow because of the lack of permissions. And now with the introduction of these permissions, these companies will now say yes, which is going to bring more leads to the platform, which will long-term, maybe even short-term, start bringing more business to you as a single individual. So although the pricing may not be ideal right now, overall, as a Webflow ecosystem, this is something very positive because we want more and more big companies coming to this system.
Yeah.
Reimer, what do you think about that? That's one of the top things I see from those permissions and roles.
Well, that's where I go back to, what was it, the disclaimer for? It was that idea that like they're making this shift from kind of this tool that was obscure and used by just people here and there to build these sites. I remember at No Code Conf, I won't call out the agency, but you know who you are, told me that they would not tell people about Webflow, that they kept Webflow as like their secret weapon, right? And they were competing against all these agencies that were doing custom developed sites, and they had Webflow in their back pocket as like this solution to build those custom sites, but it wasn't, they didn't really want to share that with other folks. And now obviously the cat's out of the bag. But back in those early days, just like WordPress started as a blogging platform, Webflow was not necessarily a serious tool for large agencies, for enterprise operations, for these big, like instances of what we're seeing them kind of evolve into. And to make that transition, this is not a thing that companies do, by the way. It's such a unique situation to go from a simple little product like that to where they're headed on this track to build a full stack visual software development tool, right? And so there's just such a curve there that I don't even understand how to run through. So I mean, this is great. I think as a piece of growth, and I think the big takeaway here is you got to find a way to make a little bit more money with the work that you do, and you got to make an investment. Yeah. I want to go to this like an example because like I talked about this I think a little bit in the intro or earlier in the show, but like I used to pay the equivalent of a car payment for WordPress tools and for hosting and for different things just to be able to try to attempt to make a living at this business, right? And so while my friends are like buying new cars and people are doing things that I couldn't do because I didn't have the money, or if I did have the money, I was investing in my digital tools, and I was paying for not just the tool itself, but all little plugins around the edges, like all the little things that kind of already come baked into the cake with Webflow. Right? In WordPress, we've talked about that. And some of these other platforms, like things that you have to like pay and get plugins for, Webflow provides out of the box. And so you're not getting nickel and dimed here with Webflow, right? Like maybe the price goes up, but it's this one price and you can just basically do anything you want. And then on top of that, you pay for some hosting if you want the site, or you export the code and you do your own thing with it. You hand it to the team, whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But if you're using the CMS, you pay the hosting, and that's kind of it. It's just one packaged price. Even if you add, the e-commerce or whatever it is, it's one price. Now that may change as the plugin market opens up, but I don't think like right now, like people understand that like if you're looking to use a tool like this and grow your career, sometimes it just takes making a little bit of investment. And I don't know how to like emphasize that it may be hard to swallow, but shit, you're not going to get a tool like this. I hear people talking, oh, we're going to go find other tools. No, you're not. Like you're just not going to find this type of refined tool. There are other options. Maybe in a couple years, somebody will get close, but then Webflow will be a whole nother 5 miles ahead of them, So like, I don't know what you mean that you could like, and this is, I don't know, Joe. I feel like I could go here for a while because we just did an episode on open source versus closed source. And one of the biggest concerns on the closed source stuff was that platform lock-in, the pricing increases. We were all been scared by Adobe before, right? We've all seen Adobe do stuff like this. And I've even seen comments from the community a little bit saying, oh, this is a very Adobe-like move. And I don't know, right? Some of those things hit close to home for me. But then there's this other part of me that's like, no, I don't think so, right? $50 a month, $60 a month to make a living with a tool, okay, no big deal, right? So I don't know, Joe. Anything there that you think needs a little clarification, or did I just lose the whole audience here?
Watch count down to 20 people.
Oh, damn.
We're seeing a lot of comments. I'd love to bring up one from Rafael here. Rafael is talking about how sometimes you want to clone a new website, create websites to be able to practice or test new things. Meanwhile, you're working on a client project. And he goes on and gives some very valid points. He's a solo person, not going to join a team, not going to create a team. That's fine. So, and a lot of people are saying this is not direct, Rafael, to you. I mean, I've seen this comment 30, 40, 50 times throughout all the threads here. My thought to you is you may be using the tool for this professional reason, for this professional upgrade. Forget about a team or no team. Forget about the additional seats or no additional seats. What you have to think of is this is a tool that can make me a lot more money than what's being charged. If Webflow had a $5,000 per month charge, okay, now that's a lot of money. How are we all going to make $5,000 per month for this? But we're talking about $20, $30, $40, $200. This is something that you can pass on to your lead. This is something that you can just start increasing your prices for. And now take yourself and say, I was at this level, this freelance level where I'm comfortable paying this amount, but now I'm ready to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And the price is not great. I'm not saying that, hey, let's all be excited about this price increase. That's not the message here. The message here is it's happening. We have to work with it. Let's just go in the right direction here and increase prices. Just get to that next level, because Webflow allows you to do that. And we're seeing it everywhere in the community. People are going from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 20. And it seems that the people who have already got there are not as concerned about that price increase.
Yeah.
And the people who are still working through those earlier levels are concerned about it.
Yeah.
Reimer, what do you think about this? And Rafael, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think, and Rafael, he had a follow-up here. It says, this is mean. They made a tool, hook people to the tool, which people make a life with it and do things without noticing. Well, I think people are noticing. That's why we're having this conversation. And I think they're noticing, which is why they rolled out that coupon code that allows you to kind of maintain that pro plan pricing. And I think you'll probably see them make adjustments more moving forward to figure out how to do that. I know Vlad personally is all about inclusion, equity, like making this platform and democratizing the web. So I don't think they're just out there thinking like, how can we squeeze as much money as possible from every little person through the mix? I think they're like, hey, we're about to release a ton of stuff. We announced, memberships. We announced Logic. We announced all this other stuff. And now we're opening up this roles and permissions and different things. At some point, they had to make a move like this. I don't know what it means down the road. Will they continue to increase prices for Logic or for membership? That's all to be determined. Will this pricing increase right now include some of the stuff they're rolling out? What new features on their roadmap? They don't have a public roadmap, so maybe there's some things that they're going to roll out next month or 2 months from now, which will completely justify all of this. And I think we have to continue to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, especially when we're not talking about, like, they didn't double the prices here. I don't know. Let's see what Felix. People just talk about dollar amount. That is not the only problem. It's about where Webflow is going. And it seems like they forgot about freelancers in the showcase clonable culture. I don't know how that is, because the 10 unhosted site plans was the same on the light plan as it is now. So really, you're just talking about there's a dollar cost upgrade to keep on that pro plan, but they've just said you can stay at your current pro plan level. So I don't see where the big discrepancy is there on that now that we have this new information, right? That may have been the case before this, but if you're already on that pro plan, just apply for the coupon. They're going to apply that automatically when they switch to Workspaces, and you're golden, right? And so I think that's the core. Let's run through these top concerns, because we do have some top community concerns here. And a lot of people had already seen Webflow as an expensive solution. And this is just kind of seeming to add on to that. But I really want to point out that I think a lot of this is coming from the fact that most of the complaints are coming from places where you don't have the same buying power as the US dollar, which is, to me, like that's an economics problem. It's hard to do that. It's hard to like fluctuate your price based on like the current buying power of a specific country. I saw an example the other day where somebody said, like, if I'm in Poland, it's the equivalent to paying $100 a month, this new increase. And so I understand that, but I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how like you solve for localizing currencies in every place. Joe, any thoughts on that? Because that seems to be kind of the top concern from the community, is that, and then this overall price increase. It's just like a flat price increase, but I don't know how to address that, because it doesn't seem like that significant to us.
It's not only the change of buying power with the money, it's the fact that some people overseas may not have access to the type of projects that people in the US have. We're very fortunate at Finsweet that we are US based. We work with a lot of US companies, and others may not have that same luxury when first starting out. Right? If you're just starting out and you're an individual person many miles away, this is very difficult to get started. So I absolutely understand this, and this is difficult. I live in Mexico, where this is just very evident that people are not willing to pay as much for their website development in Mexico as they are in the US. That's why we don't target Mexican businesses, because they're not willing to pay for it. And maybe in Poland, maybe if you're going into the Poland market, the Poland businesses may not be willing to pay that same amount of money. So the price increase does seem so much more extreme than somebody who is in a market where they are paying more money for those websites.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not necessarily a Webflow problem or a web industry problem. This is just a part of economics. Right. This is how money works.
Yeah, and I want to acknowledge James here, because your perspective is massively different than 95% of actual users of Webflow.
Yep.
And we understand this. Like, we know,
yes.
Right? But we were that person using another platform years ago, right? Like, and you always deal with this in the SaaS world. Somebody's always increasing a price. There's always some better option that's going to come out. Like, I think HubSpot like starts at $300 a month per website. And I remember early on in the days, HubSpot was like 50 or $100 a month per site. And I remember I was using HubSpot, and when they went to that $200-$300 a month, I lost my shit and I had to cancel HubSpot. It burned me up. I just could not afford that at the moment. Right. And I don't know that that's the case here. I don't think that's the case here, but this is not something new. And just because we're trying to just kind of shine a little bit of positivity on this and kind of give somebody something to aspire to, right? Like, maybe inspire you to figure out how you can spin this to be a positive. But I agree, and to Webflow out there, like, this is a big part of your community, right? Is these individuals, it's the freelancers, it's the folks that just like to play with the tools. I was talking to folks. I talk to folks in the community all the time, and they're not all necessarily pro builders, and they all don't want to like, necessarily make a ton of money off the tool. Some of them just like playing with it. Some of them like learning. Some like expanding their skill set and maybe aspire to do this. And for them, I think that's where the biggest concerns from is those are the folks who have a difficult time because they don't have the revenue to offset this. Because maybe they don't have, like Joe said, the whether it's the buying power in that country or whether the client demand in that country. There's a million variants here, right? Variables for what could be causing this to be a hurdle for you. But I don't know. I also want to clarify this thing. Go ahead, Joe.
I'd love to comment on that last
Yeah, go
from
ahead. Sorry.
James.
Yep.
Can you bring up the comment?
Oh, the perspective. Yeah. This one. Sorry.
Yes. So James, I want to make it clear that Finsweet did not start out as an agency. I know that right now we are an agency. We have a lot of people, and we have a different view on how this affects our business than you have for your business. That's very clear to me. But I was where you were. If you started from zero, I was there. I remember making the jump from starter to light. I remember debating the jump from light to pro, which looking back on it seems ridiculous because, of course, I'd have the pro now. Webflow is my day to day. But there was a point where I was, hey, I want to go all in on Webflow, but it's too expensive. It just doesn't make sense for me and my clients.
Yeah.
But I pushed through it and it worked out. So I understand we're at a different, Finsweet is different than many companies out there, but I would like to think that we can sympathize, empathize with where you are because I felt it. I know it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. And Eric's bringing up a good point here too. I don't have a pro plan right now. It kind of sucks that I can't get that discount if I were to need unlimited hosted sites in the future. Well, luckily, oh, I guess you can't still buy the pro plan. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of, I mean, that's a tough spot to be in. I will say that pro plan is something that we've been talking about forever as a good investment in the space, especially if you're going to clone stuff, because you just always want to be able to clone all those sites. And so, yeah, I don't know how to take it from there. Let's see there was some other one. There's so many coming in. Oh my God, I can't keep up with any of this. Holy cow. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to stick with this and get back into the comments here. They're just overwhelming. We can't keep up with all of them. Okay. So next major community concern. Let's see. Oh, this is one that I think is a concern that I think we should address and that I think Webflow needs to think about. Going back to the freelance thing, I think, if they hear enough about this, they'll figure out how to adjust more, right? This is a business. This is how they learn. And this is another instance where I think this new update kind of causes a little concern. It's the double dip pricing. So like, let's say I'm playing my pro plan and then I join Finsweet and Finsweet needs me to into their workspace. Now I got to pay my pro plan and Finsweet also has to pay my pro plan. And if I'm a freelancer and maybe I'm working for a couple different places and I'm in 2 or 3 workspaces, now theoretically Webflow's getting a double dip. Now they're getting, or a triple dip. And that's where I see like that becomes tough, like now Joe as an agency has to pay for my account. I have to pay for my account. And then maybe somebody else would have to pay for my account. Those are the instances where I could see as freelancers too, it's not your cost. Like you won't have to pay that seat license, but the business will. And that's a valid concern from the community that I've seen come up a number of times. Airtable, I think pricing works a little like this too. I don't know, if there's any way to change that. I don't know how technically you would solve for that, but that's one from the community that I significantly see as Joe. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. We have Airtable also. Their pricing has a similar structure to that. And yeah, sometimes it is hard to add somebody for a full plan if you just want them to have a little access to a little thing right here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a concerning one. However, that can be passed to the business. If
Yeah.
you're working in this environment where the business does need that access, I would hope that these bigger businesses coming into Webflow will be able to pay that. And that would not be a cost on you as the developer.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I don't. Let's go into some of these comments. I think we're getting a good bit of comments here.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of addressed the key community concerns. The other concern that I have that I'm not sure yet, we haven't heard back, I don't think, is how I don't think 9 people make an enterprise. So the jump from like 9 seats to getting into that enterprise tier. I know enterprise hosting is fairly expensive with Webflow. We're not even sure yet how this affects us because we have more than 9 seats in Webflow. But I don't know that we would consider Finsweet an enterprise. I mean, we do work with enterprise clients, but I don't know. That'll be interesting to see how they clarify that. I think they still need some clarification on what that. So once we get a little more information, I think we can bring that to y'all. So let's jump into some of these comments here. Tanner saying, in order of importance, Webflow is number one, so it would take a lot for us to move away from it. However, it does impact what other tools we can afford, like Adobe, Zapier, Airtable, etc. That's a good point. It
Yep.
limits what you have to spend on your other no-code stack, right? The rest of your no-code stack. Any thoughts there, Joe?
Yeah, it's really important to be able to communicate the total cost to your lead when they're going to create a solution. So if somebody says, "Hey, I need this, this, and this," and you suggest a stack of Zapier, Airtable, and Webflow, you should also be able to communicate those costs to the business. And if the business is money sensitive, yeah, the increase could have an influence on what other tools you can use. So yeah, that's a good point, Tanner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Penny also makes a good point here where having additional people in your account requires very few additional resources on Webflow's part. I was thinking about this the other day too, though. I don't know how, I mean, I guess if I have the pro account, I don't know how intensive it is on like server storage. If I go and I have like 100 clones sitting in the tank and, obviously those all have to sit somewhere and be accounted for on a server. And I don't know. I don't know what those liabilities actually are. But Joe, any thoughts there?
Yeah, in the beginning of the episode, we said something along the lines of, it's not a perfect model. There's a little bit of subjectivity when pricing for software. Software is usually not, hey, we have this many costs and we have exactly this margin. Of course, those numbers are figured out, but I think part of this is the selling of Webflow as a system, as an ecosystem, growing, bringing more people into the system, bringing more companies into the system. We see so many more bigger companies every single year joining this platform. So yeah, that's where the costs go. The cost doesn't necessarily go to you having projects in your account. It goes towards getting new businesses into the ecosystem.
Yeah. Albert saying the price was one of the best arguments to sell Webflow clients. Now it's going to be harder. I don't know why or how, because the account plan is for you. The client pays the hosting if you want to host the site, unless you're passing on that account plan for them. But I don't know. I don't know. Am I missing something there, Joe?
I don't think so.
I mean, you could
From my
literally,
understanding, a company could just have their hosted site,
right.
right? If they didn't need a development environment, if they weren't going to have copies of their site, they should fit in that starter plan with a hosted site
Yeah. Yeah.
for a smaller company. And then if a company needs more seats, if they need those extra features, then they can upgrade and they get those benefits.
Yeah. Yep. Albert Franklin is saying Webflow is becoming more and more popular among designers, but not among clients. I think that's the direction the company is heading towards too. I don't know what that means. I mean, they're for sure trying to attract more agencies.
I think Albert's saying there's more people coming to build on the platform than businesses coming to find help on the platform.
Got it. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Of course, we don't have these numbers to see the difference between designers and companies, but we do know there's a large increase of companies coming to Webflow. 3, 4, 5 years ago, when I said I built sites on Webflow, people didn't really know what that meant. What's Webflow? And now we hear that question a lot less. What's Webflow?
Right.
So I like to think that the growth of companies coming to the platform is increasing at a very high rate.
Yeah. Yeah. And Felix is saying it's like if I had to pay the whole Adobe suite just to use Photoshop, it sucks. I agree, but I pay it every month anyway, right? Photoshop is the prime. Like I use that, but I also like to have the other things just in case somebody sends me an Illustrator file and I need to open it. Just in case I get an InDesign file. Just in case I got to jump into After Effects for some little thing. I don't like to mess around a lot in there. I'm not real proficient, but and so I agree, it's not great, but that's what we get to. Like sometimes you just got to swallow the tough pill if your goal is really to make a living here. And that's the folks who are watching this podcast, this live stream, is the folks who are trying to become professionals in this business. So you should not see this as a hurdle. You just have to see this as like the investment you need to make if you're serious about making a career in here. And I promise you will not regret that as this rolls forward. Let's see. Hans is saying, I'm so glad I dropped Drupal and WordPress and switched to Webflow. Gives me peace of mind and almost no hassle with customers. You still have zero maintenance. You still have easy to, manage everything, right? Like there's a million ways you could bury, the cost of $500 or whatever it is, $600 a year into this pricing, right? That's a couple bucks a day. I don't know. I like add $5 to every project and sell another, 20 projects this year. They're $10 or $20 to every project. And it's simple, right? It's find a way to bury it. And I get it. If you're, go ahead, Joe.
No, sorry. I cut you off there.
No, I was just going to say, if you're in one of those places where it's tough, again, that's an economy thing. Find a way to target outside clients. Like the internet is not limited by your regional geographics, right? So yes. Find ways to get into other places.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Just because you live somewhere doesn't mean you have to target the businesses from that area. You can target businesses in any area.
Yeah.
And I will encourage everybody listening to give a bit of a price increase on your next quote. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say a number for you to increase your price, but try it out. We have encouraged people to do this in the past. They do it and it works. So next time that lead comes in, just increase something or a few of your line items, add a little bit more to it and give a really good pitch. And when they say yes, now you can say, hey, I paid for this whole price increase in this pitch.
Yeah.
And we don't like the price increase. I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but you have the opportunity to offset it with 1 lead, 2 leads, 3 leads. So do it. Don't just think about it. Just do it. And I promise you, maybe not the first time it will work, maybe not the second time, but you will find that you can increase your prices using Webflow. If you are good using Webflow, you can probably charge more than you're charging now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the power of the platform.
And Lucas is saying right on with that. I live in Brazil, just started Webflow 1 month ago, and the amount of time it saves by fast developing on Webflow makes it worth it, even if it's a 1 to 6 currency exchange. Bingo, bango. If you're serious about this, you'll see the value. Like, I don't mean to sound insensitive or to dismiss anybody who this may be a financial hurdle for, but if you're serious about what you're trying to do with this, just commit fully and see what happens, right? Commit fully, suck it up, find a way to pay for it for 6 months and commit fully to learning this tool and landing a client. And on that first client, just make sure you pay for your Webflow for the next 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is. Just figure out how to do this. This becomes your challenge now, right? If this is a hurdle to you, if you think this is slowing you down, like take this as a personal challenge to you to figure out, how do I make this not a problem? How do I become one of the folks that doesn't really, is not bothered by this, right?
Take something and put a price tag on it. Take our attribute CMS filter, and next time you see an opportunity to implement that, charge something for it. Hey, here's this costs $250 to implement this tool. And now you can offset that increased charge. Maybe the filtering is so easy to set up, you can set it up without the extra charge, but put that on the client, put that on the lead, see what happens.
Philip, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah. Philip says, I pay for full Adobe suite. You better believe I factor that cost into my prices. So actually, I don't pay for Adobe and I won't pay for Webflow. My clients pay for them. Yeah, Philip, that makes sense. You have a business, you have expenses, and when you bring in those revenues, they are expected to cover those expenses. So yes, that that's part of business. And when you look at it like that, you can actually not be as uncomfortable with the pricing.
Yeah.
Again, I'll say it again. Nobody likes the price increase, but you can be more comfortable with this mindset.
Yeah. This is a good point here too. Crew makes. Keep in mind that Webflow hasn't had a major pricing increase since 2017. That's 5 years without any changes. Uh, yeah, and we see what's happening with inflation everywhere, right? Cost of everything is going up. So over the course of 5 years, I don't know if you average that out. There's something else I want to say. What is it?
Right?
Shout out to Zach. Said he had a client call during the stream, so he switched to watching us in 2 speed to catch up. I don't
Nice.
recommend that, by the way. I already talked fast enough, I think. What were you gonna say, Joe?
I'd love to bring up a comment from Chris Skitch. And Chris says, what can Webflow do to rebuild trust?
Mm,
And I'm going to give a very simple answer to that. And it's communicate. Continue communicating on this change. Continue talking about why this change happened. And that, I think, is the best way for them to rebuild trust, just to communicate more. So we're going to ask that of Webflow. I think they're going to follow through on that. We have seen that they are very active in answering these forums. The forums are not very positive. There's not a lot of positivity going on there, but they're responding. Continue doing that. And my trust in them is in the platform.
yep. Joe, we lost your audio here. Check, check. Just give us 1 second here. I'm not sure what would have happened there, but try muting and unmuting yourself. See if that works. Check, check. Nope, we don't have Joe audio. Uh-oh. No. Did maybe like an AirPod or something connect? Do you have something that might have connected and stolen the audio?
What about now?
Oh,
Nothing?
there we go.
Okay. Okay, maybe a little bit lower
Yeah,
audio quality.
right.
Yeah, so communicate. For me, that's what's going to do it. Oh, and I was saying, my trust in Webflow is in being able to open up Designer, have it work, be able to charge clients for it, and those clients love the platform. That's where a lot of my trust lies. The communication on top of that is going to make this pricing just feel better for us.
Yeah. Yeah, Grace says it here. I have a lot of trust in Webflow, believe in their company, their employees, and their tool. I think they're doing their best, but we can always do better. I don't know. Listen, when I started messing around with Webflow, I think they had like 50-ish, maybe 60 employees. I think they're over 400 now on probably their path to like 1,000 or more. I don't know. Like this is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
So they've got all these different departments. They've got all these moving pieces that they're trying to integrate. And I don't envy them. If you've never built a piece of software, like we're in the no code world, right? And we like to brag about how powerful the no code world is and how you can build and build and build. But even that, you run your head into some shit when you try to go Zapier and then you do this and maybe an Integromat and it doesn't work. And it's like hard. It's fucking hard. Like we talked about that. Webflow is not easy. Now imagine like 100x that, because they're building the tools that you do the things with, right? So now take that out and just think about it. It's so complicated to try to do what they're doing on a global scale, right? To have to deal with all of these different economies, to have to deal with all the different time zones, to have to deal with, groups, agencies and partners, and we all have different interests and we're all just, hey, give us attention, give us attention, give us attention. We want to be, it's not that. It's not the old 60 days. It's not the old 60 employees days. Where like you could just reach out and Vlad was in the Slack and bing 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 and you could chat with. It's just not that anymore, right? And we have to give them, I think, a little grace as they grow into what they're going to be. I think it's easy for us to look at what they are now and where they came from and have that as the expectation of what it's supposed to be. But that's not how things work, right? Things are constantly evolving, and it's up to us to evolve with this. It's up to us to find a way to kind of roll with the punches and move forward on this. So, Joe, any thoughts as his answers to that?
Yeah, it all makes sense, and we see this happening not just in Webflow, but other places. You say that this is happening just in the economy as a whole. We just saw, I believe Netflix had a pricing update in the US, a massive pricing update. And the reason is they're creating so many films. They're creating all of their own content. Their costs have increased. The library is now significantly bigger than it was when they created the Netflix originally. And now because of that, they've increased prices.
Right.
So you can see Webflow in a very similar way, that they created these prices when they were small. They're getting bigger. They're getting bigger. There's now bigger plans. And I know that these are slow plans for us, and we want these changes quicker and quicker and quicker. But I have to think that part of this price increase is saying, hey, now we're 400 people. We're preparing for this next level. And this is the price increase for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. And this is something Rafael brings up: lack of comms with the community on this change. Not only that, but broad prioritization on what to fix, or added features. Again, I think this is a perception thing. We don't know, and we've talked about this a number of times, how they're restructuring or what they had to do to prepare for releasing things like Logic or memberships, or even these roles and access, roles and permissions. And so we do agree that Webflow could probably be a little better at communicating. And I think they've gotten a little better at that, right? They're doing the quarterly streams with Vlad. They've gotten a little better at kind of, replying and answering to some of this stuff. And I think this is, again, all part of the learning curve, right? And so I think, we need to keep the pressure on a little bit, right? We need to let them know and speak up and be vocal. But I think we also have to understand that this is it's just going to be a little bit of, figuring this out. Right, we're swimming down, we're paddling down a river that doesn't, we don't know. It's uncharted territory. There's no map that shows the rapids that we're about to face, or if there's a cliff on the end of this, or what, right? What kind of weird animal we're going to run into. We're literally pioneers in this no-code world, and some of this stuff's just going to happen. Peter Dimitrov saying, Webflow gives me the power to make 5,000 plus per month. If I'm good, fast, and efficient, investing the time to become all of this is worth it. That's it. That's what you should strive to. If this pricing hurts you for a little bit, find a way to invest for a year and give it everything you got. And if you can't figure out how to pay for Webflow after a year of that level of commitment, then you probably need to reassess how you applied yourself there. Because I think this is something that you should be able to figure out. And within a month or two, you could have a client that pays you $500 just to experiment. Go build a website for somebody for $500 or for $300 or for whatever. Just get it paid for just to pay for that Webflow hosting. Story time. When I first started in this career, I landed a client and he traded me a membership for a chamber of commerce because I couldn't, he was the board chair and he wanted to build memberships, and I was going to do this little infographic for him, and it was about the same price, $350. I would rather have the cash, but he insisted, I want to give you this chamber membership. I promise you it's going to pay dividends. That chamber thing ended up landing me 2 or 3 5-figure clients, right? And it was just me. I needed the cash in that moment. But again, I made the investment to just figure out how to work with this client. I think this is what you need to do. You have to find a way. How do you give away a $400 or $500 website just to get the money, just to sell the website, sell anything? There's people out there that need websites. I promise you, they'll pay you $200, $300, $400, $500 for your website. Go sell one of those as a test. Go find a friend that needs a website and say, hey, if you help me, do X, Y, and Z, and find a way to cover this cost. Get creative. You're a creator. You're creative. I know you are out there. Don't see this as a hurdle. See this as a challenge of how do you get to the place where this no longer becomes a problem for you. Anyway, Joe, any thoughts there?
It's hard. It's hard to do that. I know Peter has been in the Webflow ecosystem for many years. Peter, what is it, 5, 6 years you've been here or more? This takes time. This takes effort. And it's going to be hard in the beginning. But you will see that if you really focus and put everything into this, Webflow can turn you from nothing to a very, very well-seasoned professional, all within a year. That type of power is so important. It really is.
Yeah. Zach, heard the price increase was necessary to fund Nelson's fancy shirt wardrobe. That's it. It's all there to build Nelson's set and put his wardrobe together so he can bring us all the love streams that we love. So I saw something here. Herlim, thanks for this live. I'm starting to understand from the other side too. Yeah. We could all sit here and bitch, right? We could have just come out here and done an hour-long bitch fest about everything we don't like. But that's not the perspective we take on anything, right? Like you can't change certain things in the world. You can change how you respond to those things or how you let them affect you or how you let them impact your business moving forward. This is one of those things you can't change, right? You can either leave Webflow or you can pay the money, right? Maybe down the road, there'll be some adjustments. Maybe if you're on a pro plan, you claim this coupon, maybe, whatever. I don't know how that gets fixed, but there's kind of two options right now. You pay or you don't. And if you want to keep using this tool, which I think would be silly to walk away from this tool at this point, because this is just starting to get interesting, you just got to find a way to do it. So yeah, there is another side to this, and it's a mindset thing, right? Where did Grace said this just a second ago? A lot of the folks that are claiming Webflow's greedy, et cetera, are the same ones demanding constant new features and complaining about the product. Yeah, some people you're just never going to please. Like some people are just out there, they got nothing better to do than to just sit and complain. And I don't know. You're never going to please everyone, right? You're never going to please anyone. Glide did this just recently with a pricing update, and the whole, everybody went crazy. Was it Glide or Integromat? I'm sorry, Integromat. I think Integromat did like a big pricing increase, maybe like 6 months ago or something like that, and had the
Wasn't
whole
it the
industry.
other one?
What is it? Airtable did.
And what's the other? What's the Integromat competitor?
Parabola.
Yeah, didn't Parabola have a massive
maybe it was
pricing
Parabola.
upgrade?
I know one of them did very recently
One of
and
them.
just like shook up the
Yeah.
whole no code world,
And sorry if we're incorrectly calling any of these companies out. But
If we got any of that wrong.
pricing increases happen. They happen. When you grow your business, you increase your price. And look at it the same way for you. Like Reimar says, it's a mindset thing. So you're at one place, and now you're getting bigger. Your costs have increased. Now you're going to charge more, right? Just like Webflow is growing, their costs are increasing, they're charging more. And you can do that same thing. Charge more and charge even more than the increase of your expenses.
Grace, I love this. We're
Grace,
busy out here building.
we're busy out here building sites, no time to complain. Yeah,
What?
you can get to the point where you are out there building sites.
What's my favorite quote, Joe? I just talked to the boss and said your raise is effective just as soon as you are.
Yes. Yeah.
Lucas Machado, I don't know how much Webflow supports Finsweet crew, but they definitely should. What these guys make for the product and community is unbelievable value. We appreciate that. Thank you, Lucas. We do appreciate that. And we are talking with Webflow to see, about how we work more on some of this stuff. I think we can be a channel to help some of that communication. I think we can be evangelists for the community, but also help understand some of these decisions in a way that maybe they're not seeing. Right, we're on the ground level. Most of the people at Webflow work very diligently on helping build the platform, but most of them do not spend their life building with the platform. Right, which gives us a unique perspective because we do spend our day-to-day using the tool and trying to make a living off of it. So the decisions they make impact us. And so sometimes we can communicate and connect. And maybe you didn't love everything we said here today. Maybe you still don't feel like, maybe you do still feel Webflow is too expensive and you're going to be the ones that walk away from this. But I don't think that's not the point here, right? The point is just, can we find a channel? Can we all find ways to find common ground? And can we elevate the ecosystem together? Right. And we'd love to work with all of you to continue to do that. That's what the events are for. That's why we do this. That's why we commit so many resources to the community for free. Right. So just, I don't know. I don't know, Joe. Any thoughts on that?
Comment from Robert here. If you had to understand how to build your site with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then build and then configure the server, set up the database, write all the database queries, the price increase wouldn't seem so bad. So there you go. It's a price increase, but without Webflow, your prices would increase astronomically past what the cost of Webflow is.
Yeah.
Right. Setting that up, setting something up in a Webflow type environment would be just, most of us can't do it in Webflow. It's a huge undertaking. So that's what Robert says really shows the power of the platform. And what it's actually offering.
Matt's giving a good option. You could always go back to GeoCities or Angel Fire, Here's a good one, Joe. You can take this one.
Okay, we have from Ezekiel, there are tons of small agencies out there that would love to hire Webflow devs. Just saying, LOL. Sometimes working in a studio for a couple of years before going out on your own is a good option. Nice. Yeah, absolutely, Ezekiel. There are so many jobs for Webflow. It's like there's more and more and more every day. So if you're not making it on your own, if this is a big price increase for you, make your money at a studio.
Yeah.
Join a team. Okay. And we have from
Arcadius. I don't know.
Argadius,
I don't know how to say that, but
a
hopefully we didn't
tool,
butcher too much.
a tool that allows me to build my own crazy projects without a developer crying is priceless. Yes. Remember the old days when we used to have our developers writing HTML and CSS? How vintage is that?
Hmm.
So yeah, this again a huge savings when compared to the non-Webflow option.
Yeah. Is it worth paying for the light plan because I just paid for the year? Should I go pro? I think it maybe too late to upgrade to the pro plan. I think now, if you try to upgrade, you're probably going to end up on that growth plan. So I don't know. It may be worth trying. I'm not going to say you should try and upgrade to the pro plan and then go get that coupon so that you can lock in that growth phase. I don't know if that's even an option, but it may or may not be something I would try right after this stream if I didn't have that pro plan right now and I was kind of concerned about this. Not saying, just saying. I don't know that you can do that, by the way. So let's see. We just got, okay. Yeah. Within
We have some good comments from Rafael. Rafael has been very active during this entire stream. He says, I see a lot of people that are always okay with changes and are biased towards their own reality bubble. If we don't have these discussions, seeing all the points of view, there's no improvement. And then he later says, discussions from all sides lead to ideas that lead to innovation. This is totally true. And this is one of the reasons why we are having this conversation to say, hey, we don't like this, but there's another side to this. There is a positive. This is something that is just very evident in myself. I always try to find the positive. You can give me terrible, terrible news, and I will find some way to pull a positive out of this. It's a mindset thing. So yeah, Rafael, I don't like the pricing change. I don't want the Finsweet invoice bill to go up in Webflow, but how can we spin this to actually make it better for us?
Yeah.
What are we going to do here to make this help us?
Yeah. Tom's bringing back the point. It's not the value. We all understand that. It's how poor Webflow communication has become and their poor update standards, breakpoints, e-commerce, et cetera. Do they really warrant a price hike? I still give them a lot of benefit of the doubt that we're going to see some significant platform updates over the next year or two. They are thinking long term. Vlad's plan is to build a legacy 100-year business. They want to redefine the way you build software visually. I think they're, when they got the first round of dollars and the second round of dollars and they kind of got super stable and now they don't have to worry about whether they actually continue moving forward. I think they probably started focusing less on let's keep building out on this existing platform and more on how do we really make sure this thing becomes everything we always dreamed it would be, right? And so I think we're in that transition phase between what they were and where they started and where they think they're going, and that's just growing pains for us, right? That's stretching and growing. Like the Webflow's hitting puberty right now, I think, and that's always a little awkward, right? And so the voice is gonna squeak a little bit. We're gonna have like weird fluids everywhere. It's just like a little awkward, okay? And we just got to get through this, I think, for the next couple years. And so maybe that's a bad analogy, but whatever. It's what came to mind in the moment. Jonathan's got to go, and you take this, Joe.
Jonathan says, for me, the main issue I have with the new pricing is the actual pricing page. People still find it hard to understand what's going on. Some case studies would be very helpful. Yes, there was a problem. There were a lot of complaints about this with the last version of the pricing. I know that we have to walk through the pricing with every single one of our clients and give the options. Do you want this workflow or this workflow?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jonathan, we see that. Reimar, do you have anything to say about that?
No, I think that's right on. Who there was another one here that I. Oh, they're coming in so fast. I can't even keep up. Let's see. Okay, Pixel Geek. We hear you all and we see you all. We'll make sure we keep a better two-way communication with you all. That's it. I think this is hard. If you've ever tried to deal with like communications with more than like 50 people at once, you're right. That's hard enough. Let alone 50,000 people, right, all across the globe in certain ways that are always pulling at your time. And so, yeah, I think. Yeah, let's see. Andrew Vaughn. We just got to keep giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit here. Andrew Vaughn saying, will I continue with Webflow? Yes. Has Webflow changed my life? Yes. Could communication implementation? Sure. Yeah, we're not going to keep beating that
Yeah.
horse there. I think we got that message. They're listening. I'm sure they're listening to the stream. Who knows how many of the 146 or who are still here are actually Webflow employees. So anyway, let's see. Fred R. Jay, you want to take this one?
Fred says, I'm an old dev and wake up smiling that Webflow generates and maintains all the clean code that I don't have to unless adding custom. Not debugging means I've had time to design and develop and build. And
Yeah, I think that's where it is.
Bill. Okay, cuts off. Yeah, that's Fred. That is a great point here. It saves you so much time. And with that extra time, you have a lot more opportunity for other business practices to grow your business, to do something else. That's why we're seeing a lot of people be able to really start from almost nothing and get to a point where they are making Webflow sites as a primary income source. And that's because it gives you so much extra time to work on the website and to grow and manage a business. If you were doing this all by hand, the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the server stuff, this would not give you enough time to make enough revenue, learn how this all works, and still be able to grow that business, be able to be a CEO and a developer in the 1 or 2 person agency. So yeah, Fred nailed it right here. Absolutely.
Yeah. Rafael, well, this will be the last one from him, but I did expect him to, because he was a little caustic at the front there. Rafael, you came with some hands, son. But I like this. This is the perspective, right? We're here to learn. We're here to challenge each other. When we make mistakes, we expect y'all to call us out on them. We're here to hold ourselves to account, and we're also here to be a voice for you all. Like, just know in the community, like, our goal is to be a voice for you all in whatever way we can be. We understand you. We understand how you work. And our goal really is to represent that to Webflow and to kind of be an intermediary here wherever we can. So, yeah, glad you found some value in the perspective there. And, yeah, maybe change your thoughts on all of that. Let's see. Anything else here? Make that shirt, please. Webflow is hitting puberty. Okay, what is see? Rohan, Webflow. Oh, okay, that's right.
When in doubt, just remember that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's enough. We're gonna step away from that line of comments. Okay, let's see. Somewhere is a good point about personalizations of features. I feel that's the future of everything. We have personalized news, movie ads, whatever. Yeah. Maybe we'll get to some of that. I think Webflow is going to become the backbone and platform for a lot of future businesses that we don't understand yet. Right. This space is going to evolve, and you will soon have click to clone full stack software. Right. Webflow is about to become the backbone for a lot of digital businesses in ways that we can't even imagine. And I think that again goes back to that we're on uncharted territory here. And I don't know what that means, Rafael, about personalized products, personalized, like, yeah, I think the potentials are unlimited there. Let's see.
We have an interesting comment from Vianney. Webflow community is gold and does not cost $60. So what I think they're saying there is there is a value to this community ecosystem. So forget about Webflow charging more, forget about you charging more for your services. Being in this ecosystem is hugely valuable. Imagine paying a yearly membership fee to be part of some organization or some group of people. You know, that charge, you are charged to have access to that. And this is one of the things that just comes with Webflow. You can just sign up for an account and you're instantly in this ecosystem and community of real value. So yeah, that was a really cool comment. I like that.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Let's see. Just let Webflow do their thing, folks. It's by far the best quality of community or professionals and clients out there. They know what they're doing, and they will make it worth it. Um, yeah, that's hard for a lot of people to do. You know, that's that whole argument between the open source and closed source. But I even saw some tweets the other day, and it was something about like folks talking about how you know, they were making the switch from Android to iOS after a few years because they just wanted something that worked. And I think that's what we're going to see on the world of moving from WordPress into Webflow. It's going to take time. Like, I really think that we're 3 years out before this thing hits full stride, right? So take that for what it's worth. We always talk about we're on the front edge of the curve here. We're on the front edge of this wave. This feels hard for us. This feels, what, 6 months from now, a year from now, none of this will matter. We'll all be looking back. Everybody out there will have landed 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 new clients. Everybody out there will be, you know, killing their pipeline and having all sorts of leads coming in. And these will not be issues that that we need to look at. So
I would also love anybody that's listening to come back and tell us if you increased your prices and the lead said yes. In the middle of this episode, I challenged everybody to increase your price. Next time a lead comes in, you give a quote, just add a little bit extra on top. When you make that win, share it. It's going to give yourself encouragement. It's going to give the rest of the community encouragement. And I think we're all going to start increasing together. Very powerful.
yeah,
And Sam says, at the end of the day, there's no other solution as good as Webflow. So whilst the increase could have been announced better, it's worth paying for all the same.
yeah,
Sam, nice. That's a really nice overview. Just a good comment there. And we all agree with that. The announcement, the communication, that's the stuff that has to be worked on. But the platform's still there. It still works. You still have this power that you had 2 weeks ago. So yeah, important, valuable.
yeah. And we'll close with this one. Dale Jensen brings up a good point. Webflow and Finsweet continues to provide incredible value, but to get the most from it, the responsibility lies on the individual to mine the depths of that value and apply it to our work. Worth it. That's it. That is it. You know, 100%. This all, I just talked to the boss. He said your raise is effective just as soon as you are, right? And so, like, go out there. You know, like, somebody brought a point up about Webflow education being like, their educational content is better than a lot of paid courses you can go get, right? Take that as like a, maybe take your Webflow cost that you're paying and consider that part of your education budget, right? And just apply that there, and then go study that university. Go learn everything you can from the Webflow University. Go watch everything you can from all of the different content creators in the space. Go look up all Nelson's old live streams. I know Nelson's in the audience here. I learned, this is crazy to me, I learned Webflow watching Nelson. Now Nelson is in the comments handling like community feedback on streams that we're doing. You could be the next person, right? Like, maybe next year we're watching your stream and we're commenting about all this stuff. Like, and you're the ones that are leading the space talking about it, you know, a nominal pricing increase. This could be you, right? Take this on yourself to kind of like just take that next tier. And get to the point where even if Webflow says it's going to be $100 a month, you don't care. You just don't care. Okay, whatever. We're going to go. We're making, you know, we're doing it. So that's your game. Matt McCarson. There you go.
Nice job, Matt.
Okay.
Great to see that.
See, pick up everyone's comments except mine, says Pavish. What did you say, Pavish? Let's go see. You know, we're here for you. Oh, it says, can we build an app in Webflow? Not yet. I mean, you can some. You know, you can do some stuff.
You can. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, not actually.
Not natively.
Yeah, not natively. You could use
Webflow,
things like Wizzed. You know, you can go out there and build cool stuff inside of Webflow using a tool like Wizzed right now. There's all sorts of, they call it the WASM stack, you know, where you can connect Airtable and Zapier and do all sorts of shit. So yeah, not natively, fully integrated yet, but yeah, there's some stuff there you can play with. Joe, this one's for you.
Ooh, Joe Krug, since effectively doubling my agency's prices, We've never been busier and have actually turned away work. There we go, Andrew. That is the next step, doubling your prices. So we're all at steps, right? We're not comparing each other to each other's steps, but we're all jumping in our own steps. And Andrew was at a lower step, and that is just a clear indication of the next step. And when you start doing that with Webflow, the pricing makes sense. It
Yeah.
works. And I'm sure, Andrew, that you have some comfort knowing that you still have great revenue from your agency.
Yeah. And Lucas brings up a good point that I want to just double down on here. No pun intended. Used to charge 4K for a small website that I raised to 6K, and clients kept paying without questioning. I just wish I'd done that earlier. We hear this all the time in the freelance space. How many times, Joe, have we said double your prices or increase your prices
Yeah.
or do whatever? So
Yeah.
it's a little disingenuous, I think, for us to be running around as freelancers and saying double or triple your prices, increase your prices, and then get a little salty when the product we use to make that money says, hey, we're increasing our prices. So it's not always a great pill to swallow. But again, like it's just par for the course. This is how the game plays. This is how it works, So, Benny, August, you want to take this one, Joe?
Yeah, the community is gold. What you guys are doing with client first, attributes, etc., is making building with Webflow such a great thing. Would not want to go back to another platform. Yeah, Benny, this comes with the benefit of the Webflow community. This is a core benefit that you are not charged for. You are not charged for using our Finsweet resources. You are not charged for cloning the thousands and thousands of powerful clonables inside that showcase. I mean, imagine you had to pay to be part of the showcase and pay per clone, and that would be expensive as well. But all of this is included. This is a huge benefit to the ecosystem as a whole. And I have to think this type of ecosystem does not exist in the competitors. So when you say, hey, I'm switching to this platform, they're nowhere near where Webflow is with the community side, with the resources, with the everything that comes with Webflow. So really nice comment, Benny.
Yeah. And I agree. That's one of those things people keep talking about. Oh, somebody else is going to catch them or switch to this platform. Look, I've tried them all. There's nothing close. There's nothing even close. Like not even close. You can get like, maybe you can build a little, you can build the front end over here. You can do the back end over here. You can do a little, but you can't do the interactions and it's not as fast and it doesn't give me all the features and I can't do all the other things. It's like, what? Nope. No, there's nothing even close. There's just not. So yeah, you can go play with other tools. You'll be back. Lucas, who's the Nelson Reimar just mentioned? This guy, Mr. Pixel Geek, the one and only. So shout out to Nelson here. Actually, this is cool to see. I didn't know this was up here. But look at this. Who's that guy back there?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, who's that? This was the first, just to go back, I think this was what, 2015? No, 17? Yeah, maybe like 2017. Nelson flew out, and this was like one of our first Webflow meetups. And this was super cool. This was, again, back when the community was just a lot smaller than it is now. But yeah, go check out his live streams because this is the one it all clicked for me, was watching people build live. Go watch our Learn It Lives. Go explore. There's tons of content out there. There's no shortage of people creating great content in this space. So, James, we appreciate your time as well. Let's see.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, oof, okay. Reimar and Joe, these live streams are awesome, but sometimes I miss having short direct-to-point video tutorials on your channel regarding client first, et cetera. Just a suggestion. Yeah, we still publish those things. We still publish short videos in there. They're tucked away for sure. I mean, but those still come out, especially around product releases. If you want some of those short videos, you can go on the product pages. There's all sorts of shorts out there. But go ahead, Joe.
I would love to comment on this. Lucas, one of the reasons we don't do this is because it costs a lot of money. It is so resource intensive for us to produce videos and deliver them. It's easy live. That's why we do the Learn It Live. We just sit down and we're like, let's figure out what we're going to do 24 hours before this. We record it, it ships. It has a relatively lower resource cost than filming, hey, here's 20 shorts of this system. That could take weeks or months of time, resources, and money. So I can't even imagine how much it costs Webflow to produce those shorts that they have for Webflow Education. This costs money. And the Webflow Education videos are just growing. There's more of them. They come out more frequently. The courses keep coming. So yeah, that's part of this.
Yeah.
That it costs money to do that. Webflow does this.
Well, and the other thing is, it probably looks like we do a lot more of these than the other ones because we used to only do those other videos. Like when we had a new product, we'd release like 7 or 8 new videos, and then we'd go quiet for another 3 months while we released the next product and prepared those videos. Whereas now we're doing 2, sometimes 3 streams a week kind of thing. And so that content is flowing out there. But like Joe said, it's easier to produce sometimes. We can get deep into the weeds. We can adjust topics on the fly. So yeah, but again, we still have those other videos being produced, maybe just not as regularly as people might like. So
We do. And also, Lucas, you should know that we are planning to do more of these. We've heard this comment several times.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're not doing short videos. We're trying out new formats. And even we're trying out a format specifically for 2-minute videos.
Yep.
So yeah, Lucas, we're right here with you.
Yeah. Mirela, thanks. You're a good salesman. This convinced everyone the pricing change is not that bad after all. Yeah, I don't know that we really changed anyone's perception, but Joe and I do have a sales background. That's why we do this growth show rather than like doing tutorials every week. You know, we just thought there's lots of people creating tutorial content. We wanted to talk to people about the business of building their business in Webflow. We want to talk about sales and how to look at some of these things as more objectively towards growing your business and career rather than just learning how to use the tool. You become a master at the tool and you can become a pro and still not make any money at it. So the goal is to become a pro while making money along the way. So yeah, Mirela, for sure.
And to that sales comment, it's really important to note that true sales, true effective sales comes from understanding the point of view of the person that you're selling to and providing some type of remedy to their problem. It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be information. We're understanding what you need and we're giving you what you need. So for this stream, one of our goals was to motivate you that we have this bad news, but here's the motivation that you need to make this feel better, to fix your problem. Maybe not entirely, maybe not immediately, but we are here to do that. And that's why it seems that we're selling you, because we're just providing you the right information for you to go and take that next step to react to those pricings.
Well, and maybe this will help Webflow see the value in some of that we can be a tool in that regard. So Albert, question here, if Webflow decides to acquire your company, please do not accept. Let's see. How do you expect Webflow to dominate the market if it seems too expensive for many countries? Like Joe said, Mexico isn't willing to pay for it. Not doubting, just wondering. That's a good question, Joe. Any thoughts there?
Well, yeah, I think that there's going to be a big increase in the importance of websites. We see that in the US, the importance of a website over the past 10 years is significantly different. 10 years ago, it was optional to have a website. Some people did, some people didn't. Now it's a requirement. If you don't have a website, you're not really taken seriously. And as the whole world becomes more digital, I think other countries are going to follow this same style. And we'll see in Mexico 5 years ago, maybe most companies didn't have a website, but now some of them are starting to have a website. And I think in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, Mexico and Mexican businesses will have that same type of customer requirement. You need a website. Facebook page doesn't cut it anymore. So Eric, I'm hoping that just web in general, the digital age is just going to become more important for businesses.
Yeah. Let's see. And we're well over time here, so maybe we just got to find a break point at some point here.
Yep.
But this one I thought was relevant. Webflow allowed me to quit my job 2 years ago. Finsweet inspired me to do my own thing. Webflow empowers me to do it. Yeah.
Nice.
And then Scott saying same 3 years ago, never looked back. Flux Academy helped me. Great start at the basics, position myself, and then Finsweet took me to new levels. That's it.
Awesome.
That's it. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging with us. This has been an amazing episode. We have really had a good time chatting with all of you. I see that we've had almost 830 playbacks on this video. I don't know what that equates to, but there's 116 of you and only 64 likes. So come on, y'all, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, help us hit our goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We appreciate and love you all for everything you do in this community. Thanks for tuning in one more week. Oh, Joe, somebody did ask what's up for Thursday. I think we're going to do a beginner's dive into client first. I'm not 100% yet, but we might do. I think that's what we're talking about. So stay tuned. We'll send out an email tomorrow about that. If you're not on the list, head over to finsweet.com/subscribe and jump on that email list, because you got to know about everything that's coming up. We got some big things coming up over the next few months. So
cool.
All right.
Love it. Great episode. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.